Hey guys, this is Real Talk with Michael and Lisa.
Hey,
And today we're talking about,
don't wait, get help. What does that mean?
I think that means we need to be humble. We need to bring community into our life.
Yep. I actually was thinking about this morning that I was just reflecting on yesterday. Michael and I, we got some help. So we have a regular scheduled appointment every other week with a life consultant who helps us process our individual issues as well as our joint issues. And I was just thinking this morning how helpful it is to have someone, a third party, to meet with to help us process. And I just want to encourage you guys to do the same.
Yeah, I know in my first marriage, I waited about 10 years before we really brought in outside help and talked to our pastor and some other people and started going to marriage retreats and reading about relationship and marriage and so when we started dating with the intent for marriage, which went so that first day when I said, "Hey, I want to date you with the intent to marry you," 5 months and 1 week later we were married. So that went really fast. So about a month into that journey, I brought in a lot of the same community that I had here in Reading, and we started meeting on a weekly basis with the life coach we're talking about, and then there's another marriage, a couple that does a lot of marriage coaching together, and we started meeting with them about every month or so, and really intentional from the very beginning to bring community in.
And we continued to meet weekly for 9 months, and then we have then just gone to every other week. And our friends Steve and Lorraine Box, who they specialize in more crisis type situations or things that are a bit more extreme. And so we reach out to them when we feel like we need a little bit more help. So we have a couple different layers of support. And we just want to encourage you, like, you don't have to wait till things are in crisis to reach out. We actually do it for maintenance.
Yeah, it's actually, I mean, so there's kind of like, I love cars. I work on cars. Matter of fact, Lisa just came out to the garage to get me to come in because I'm getting ready to work on a Land Cruiser. And so that lets you know how important this video is to me. I said no to working on a Land Cruiser to come film this. But I've got this Land Cruiser and it's got 275,000 miles on it. It's running great. Is it running great because I do all the maintenance on time? I take care of all the oil changes, fluid changes. I even go beyond the recommendations to make sure everything's working well and tuned up and adjusted the way it needs to be. If I just sat back and waited for things to break
Till it literally didn't run anymore.
to do stuff, it wouldn't make it to 275,000 miles.
And in relationships, if we wait till we have so much stuff bottled up inside, that can turn out pretty ugly.
I like that example because, see, here's the deal. I want to put a lot of miles on this model right here. I want to put a lot of miles on this baby, so I want to make sure that I attend to all the service intervals, make sure I'm checking the fluid levels regularly, getting a bottle of wine each week or so. Like, all those things are really important. And part of that is going in for diagnostics just to make sure everything's working fine under the hood. And of course, we can interpret that as doctor and whatever, but we got our hearts and our minds. Our hearts and our minds.
Yeah, so we are recommending to find a counselor, a coach, a life coach, somebody that you can reach out to, someone who could be a level of support for you in your relationship. We meet every 2 weeks, but if you can't afford to do every 2 weeks, then at least once a month. The beauty of that is, even if you think that everything's pretty good, which that's great, it's still helpful to, like, if something pops up, oh great, we can take care of that in our session. And that's kind of what happened. That was what yesterday was about. And there was some snot and tears, and it was a little messy, but it's better to get it out messy than not get it out at all.
Could you imagine carrying around all that snot for the rest of your life? I mean, that's just gross.
And I just want to let you know that like your marriage is worth it. It is worth investing in. Our marriage is worth it. And we're not contending for an average marriage. We're not even contending for a great marriage. We're contending for an extraordinary marriage. We want the kind of marriage that for our kids so that they can something for them to model after, as well as for that it would be an inspiration to other people, and that is part of our heart. So we are actually doing the work. We're not just talking the talk, we're actually walking the walk. And we want to encourage you and just to be a little bit vulnerable. You know, Michael shared about in his first marriage with Deborah that they about 10 years, and for Chris and I, we didn't. There was probably 2 times that we reached out to another couple, and to be honest, in those sessions, we kind of candy coated things, and they were like, "Oh, sounds like you guys are identifying some issues, and you're fine." And we really weren't fine, and it ended up with we had a surviving marriage and not a thriving marriage. And so, if you want a thriving marriage instead of a surviving marriage, you might have to do something different. And for me, I realized if I wanted something different, I had to do something different. Not my spouse needed to do something different. I needed to do something different. And that means I have to be willing to be vulnerable.
I didn't know where that was going for a second.
That means I have to be vulnerable, and I have to be humble and be willing to process my junk and own me. And that's primarily what we're doing when we reach out for support. I had a thought that most marriages that are fizzling or dissolving, it's not usually a wrong person issue. The issue isn't usually that you married the wrong person. It's usually that people just don't have the right tools.
Yeah. So it's not you know what, you chose to be the wrong person. It is possible that you married an axe murderer, and if you did, probably good to get out of that. But I would say 90% of the time, that's my opinion. That's not a fact, but majority of the time I see, and the majority of the time in my own relationship, when things aren't working out well, it's usually because I've chosen to be the wrong person. And when I choose into humility, when I choose to love, when I choose connection, when I choose to not be offended, when I make those kinds of choices, all the thought traffic going on totally shifts to match that choice. And it makes a world of difference. I mean, wow. Yeah, that works in every area of life. There's a freebie for you. In every area of your life, that works. But in marriage, it's critical.
And I just want to mention that, you know, with Chris and I, it wasn't that he was a bad person or I was a bad person, or it really just was we didn't have the tools. We didn't have great communication tools. We didn't have conflict resolution tools. We didn't have those things. And I recall Chris saying, actually 2 days before he passed away, and he said, I know that I've needed help, but my pride has stood in the way. And he felt like this pressure that he should be able to figure it out by himself. And I just want to say, there's no shame in not having the tools. But if you recognize you don't, go get them. So don't wait.
Yeah.
Go learn some new tools. Reach out to a professional, somebody who can help you learn new tools, and get support. Be willing to get support. And that's part of what has inspired us to become relationship coaches, is that we want to support other people in learning new tools. And we're just one step ahead.
Yeah, there's so much available. You can dip your toes in. I mean, there's books, there's podcasts. I mean, One Extraordinary Marriage is one of our favorites, and there's all sorts of books. Danny Silka's books,
Loving
Les
on
Leslie,
Purpose.
Parrott have some good material, and oh man, there's a whole number of them.
Even Mark Gungor is a great resource.
Oh yeah,
a
YouTube
funny
channel,
resource.
Mark Gungor. Oh, he's a great resource because he gets you laughing, and then it's easy to take the ooh in the middle of the laughter. So just start light. Start listening to some podcasts. Start listening to Mark Gungor on YouTube, and watch this video. And go out and
And
read some books, and then start going in deeper. Go to some conferences and start meeting with some people and get some friends, other couples that you can talk with, where they may not be teaching you super valuable things, but you're developing community and vulnerability and being known.
so anyway, we just wanted to encourage you today. We want you to know that we are for you. So don't wait. Get some help, get some tools, and get some support.
Do the scheduled maintenance on your love.
Yep. God bless you.
Yep. Bye.